Hello and welcome to Building the Premier Accounting Firm. I'm your host, Roger Kinect, president of Universal Accounting Center. And for more than 20 years, I've been working with owners of accounting, bookkeeping, tax businesses to help them have thriving companies, ones that they can be proud of, offering quality accounting services and getting paid what they're worth. Each and every week, I have on the show experts, guests that I bring on to share with us insights that we can use to run our businesses more profitably, successfully, offering quality services. And today's going to be one more example of that. This is Amy Franco. Amy helps organizations transform sales cultures, ignite sales growth, and build high-impact leaders through her strategic selling programs. Recognized as a LinkedIn top sales voice, Amy is the leading expert in modern sales strategies, including in-demand sales training programs, sales strategy, and as a sales keynote speaker and leadership keynote speaker, she basically guides growth-oriented organizations to significantly improve their results through B2B sales strategies and sales teams, helping them improve their skills and develop confidence. So, Amy, welcome to the show.
Roger, it is great to be here. I'm really looking forward to our conversation today.
This is going to be a lot of fun. So, first of all, obviously, my group, they're accounting professionals. They don't necessarily see themselves typically as sales people. So we're just going to break this down and really have a lot of fun with it. One of the things I want to begin with is help me describe for them the difference between what marketing is and what sales is. Let's define those.
Yes, absolutely. And one thing that I will share before, as we get into this conversation, I have zero tax, bookkeeping, accounting background whatsoever. So, but as I have grown and evolved my business and my practice over the years, I have grown a niche with primarily professional services, but public accounting being one of those niches. And I truly enjoy working with these types of organizations because they tend to be extremely client focused. And when it comes to defining things like business development or marketing, oftentimes what they uncover is they have a lot of the foundational philosophies and the way in which they think about serving their customers and clients. So now they have the opportunity to put the right structures into place. When it comes to defining sales and marketing, one of the trends that is happening in business development is they're becoming more and more integrated. Whether you're a small firm or you are a large firm, you will see and feel this to a certain degree. Marketing at its core is what we do and what we do to build awareness in the marketplace for the problems that we solve, the type of clients that we wish to serve, and really the way in which our brand shows up in the marketplace. So I consider marketing to be general awareness, but also lead generation. Ideally, what you're putting out into the marketplace creates and attracts the right leads that then get passed off into the areas of your firm where those individuals are responsible for taking those leads and ideally turning those leads into an opportunity. That is business development, where a lead becomes an opportunity to earn the client's business, and you take that through the business development cycle, and ideally you earn that business and they become a client of your firm.
I love this because I agree. Marketing and sales, totally distinct. There is some blending going on, but I distinctly define them much like you just did. Marketing is that effort that we're putting forth to identify, find those potential customers. And as they raise their hand, whether it be through lead forms that they may be filling out on a funnel that we've created, whether it be a networking organization where we interact with them or referral given to us, once they've identified themselves or someone has introduced us, the sales begin. And that's from that process forward that we're going to nurture them. We're going to put forth that effort to position us as the experts providing quality services to the point that we can have that one-on-one interaction to offer our services and get the engagement we want. So that sales experience is your expertise. It's literally taking and helping that person now see us as the solution. So let's talk about this developmenting this strategy. What does that mean?
Yeah, so the landscape related to business development has really changed a lot in the last, 3 to 5 years. Obviously, COVID notwithstanding, but there were changes that were happening even prior to COVID that the pandemic accelerated, and that are still with us today. So, how this relates to strategy, though. the changes that we're seeing in the landscape of business development, and we can certainly dig into what some of those are, they're impacting strategies such that really smart firms, accounting firms, bookkeeping firms, whatever your particular expertise happens to be, is having a strategy, first of all. A lot of organizations might have a general growth strategy or maybe a general business strategy. Many of them don't actually have a business development strategy. So, having your strategy and understanding the path that you want to take into the marketplace. From there, having that strategy and combining it with having the right structures in your organization, structures like technology stack, structures like having business development process and a methodology that you follow, and then combining that with skills. So it's the strategy, it's a set of processes that you follow, and then skills that you develop within your firm. Combine that with having really good leadership championship to champions in your firm to help integrate it. That's kind of the secret sauce that brings it all together. You have to have the people within your organization, especially starting at leadership, that are willing to champion strategy and processes and skills.
So I'm liking this because you started with landscape changing, and I agree. Just in the last few years, I think people have started to realize that social media, having an online presence, is becoming more and more essential. It used to be, at least if we want to do that delineation with the pandemic, pre-pandemic, I think there were a lot of people that were still using that argument of, I don't want to be online, I don't want to have a social presence, I don't want to put my life out there. But since then, because during the pandemic, so much of our interactions with one another personally and professionally did go online, and we weren't physically or interacting in person, all of a sudden, what we're dealing with now is the carryover of that. And that landscape, as you've chosen to describe it, is so different. And it does involve that online use. It's what do we do to position ourselves? You and I met via LinkedIn. And so I think that's an excellent example of how we can be leveraging a platform such as LinkedIn to really find new connections and develop those. But when you're talking about key elements of a successful business strategy, you were talking about key people kind of championing it, identifying what needs to be done. Can you dive a little bit deeper into what they should develop or identify? What are those key elements that they should be identifying?
So if we assume that we have the right people in place to champion it, and that we have a business development strategy, if I take those bookends and we assume that we have those things in place, what that leaves you with as the leader of your firm is taking a look at your business development structures and also your business development skills. And if there's one thing that I've experienced with professional services firms over the last number of years of working with them, there's so much rigor and process around the services that we bring to market, the deliverables that we create. Oftentimes, what I find though, there is a lot less or sometimes no structure when it comes to business development. So, oftentimes, business development strategy might be missing, but business development structures and skills are often missing too. So, those business development structures can be things like your CRM or your customer relationship management tool, some of the technology stack that you referred to earlier on the marketing side of things. These are things like marketing automation or ways to stay connected to your clients and prospects through technology. Business development process, actually that step-by-step process that 80% of your opportunities go through in order to bring them to fruition. Those are the structural pieces that firms need to put in place. And then you combine that with building the right skills. I call it methodology. I have a strategic selling methodology that I've designed and I teach. And methodology, simply put, are the skills and the tools that you pick and choose from at the time that you need it in order to move an opportunity forward. So those are some of the things that I work with clients on and that I see really successful firms put into place. And it's certainly not an overnight thing. Like it could take a number of years and you have to pick and choose and prioritize. But once you start getting one or two of those things going and you start to see the results from that, it helps you make the case for investment to continue on.
I'm liking all the things that you're touching on because I couldn't agree more. First of all, in a firm, you've got to identify who are going to be those forward-facing individuals that are going to that are interacting with the clients and who are going to be responsible for new client acquisition. As you identify those people, they do need to have these skills that you're describing, and they need to be willing to go out there and network and meet with people and basically try and be that face of the company. At the same time, you've got to have this technology in the back end, just simply because as you're meeting and greeting with people, you've got to have that CRM in place to capture that information, make notes, and then come up with different campaigns or strategies to re-engage or connect with them. So let's take that to that level of how do you nurture in the sales process various individuals so that they can see what you're offering as valuable services, that it's something that they ought to be considering, and also see us as the experts, where we actually are seen as the logical solution, the obvious solution. Are there any comments that you would have as to that nurturing process and positioning ourselves as experts?
Yeah, absolutely. And your earlier comments about some of the automation pieces and the technology stack, it's just, I'm reminded of just what we're watching right now in the social media space and how we connect with people. There are platforms that obviously come and go. And you just look at some of the disruption that's happening at Twitter, which is now X, and all the changes that are happening. It's a really great reminder that social media platforms are just, they're just one way in which we get the opportunity to connect with people. And for those firms that have a robust email marketing platform and a way of connecting and having direct contact information, their own database, there it's I'm always talking about the need to have your own database in addition to the social media platforms, because you can control that data and it's yours, and you can connect with your clients and prospects through that channel, so that as you experience more disruption in social platforms, you're less impacted because you're not totally reliant on them. Um, with that said,
Hold on. No, I wanted to
yeah,
comment on that. That's hugely
yeah,
important. And I'd like my listeners to understand that, because these platforms are wonderful for us to interact and stay connected with. But in reality, what we want to do is somehow at some time acquire their contact information, name,
yeah,
phone number, email, because that then becomes something we can use within our CRM as a way of reaching out. Imagine if all of a sudden LinkedIn changed or Facebook changed or whatever the platform is, all of a sudden we lose that connection. They're gone. We can't find them any longer. They disappear. They choose to voluntarily take themselves off of that platform. What we want to do is now have that information in our realm, and that way we own it and we can do with it as we necessarily want to. And so I can't emphasize what you just said as being so important, because it is that important. But you were going to transition to something else. What were you going to say next?
so yes, and I thank you for those comments, because that's something I've just been observing for myself and just watching, as it's really easy to get into the social platforms and to put all of our efforts there. And it definitely warrants efforts, but that balance between having our own direct databases can't be overemphasized. So for anybody who's listening to this conversation, you want to take a look at what you have inside your own organization. If you don't have much in the way of those structures, definitely don't hit the panic button, but this is part of your marketing strategy and your awareness building strategy. And then you might bump that up on your priority list to invest your time and resources around. Um, on the nurturing side of things, though, when I'm working with clients, I tend to put this into two categories. There is what I think of as inbound and outbound. Whenever we meet somebody or they become aware of us or what we do, so this podcast is a great example. Somebody who's never seen us before may stumble upon this conversation and might really pique their interest, and they might go out to our websites and check us out and maybe opt in. That is the opportunity to start nurturing that conversation. And a lot of the nurturing that I emphasize and I do myself is around education based marketing. So putting original thought leadership or commenting on things that are happening out in the marketplace and putting my own thoughts around that, getting that out into the marketplace so that people can experience it. And people that resonate with that may find their way into my sphere. People that don't may find their way into another sphere. But that thought leadership to me cannot be, that also can't be overemphasized. And again, if this is something your firm isn't doing, it's something that you can start to explore. But when it comes to lead generation, so if we turn that into lead generation, inbound leads are what I think of as gravy. Inbound leads are the people that find us. They're warm. They might have a specific need or an opportunity that they want our help with. Sometimes they just want to stay in our sphere, and they may or may not have a specific opportunity. But where you find a specific opportunity is where you can turn that conversation into an actual opportunity. So there are the leads that come to us. Then there is the outbound side of the equation, which I highly encourage all firms to do, because that's where we really control the business development side of things. If we're simply waiting for things to come to us, that puts us in the passenger seat. If we want to put ourselves in the driver's seat and put more control over our strategy, having an actual outbound business development strategy into specific verticals where we are seeking people out that are the right potential fit for our organization. So for me, I talk to a lot of CEOs, I talk to a lot of high growth officers in the professional services space. So I seek those individuals out if they are part of potential organizations that might be a fit for me. So putting that outbound strategy into place is just as important as being in the social sphere, nurturing potential leads in that way.
So there's a few things there that I want to touch on. One, you brought up leads, and with lead generation, there's the lead magnet philosophy. What is it that you're willing to offer that is evergreen? It's out there as a lead funnel, funnels being a landing page that someone lands on and they're able to fill out a form in exchange for something that you're offering. And that exchange of, for your name, phone number, email, I'm going to give you something, is typically like an ebook, a white paper, something that, a free report that basically allows the person to identify interest, but in a very casual way, provide a little bit of information about themselves that you can later market with, but you've given them something of value in exchange for that information. And so that's valuable. Now you've got their contact information. But what you then explained, I think, is very helpful. It's the fact that how do we then educate them and help them understand what's going on? And it's this philosophy today of just giving, have a giving mentality. And as we educate our potential customers, all of a sudden what we're doing is we're just inspiring them, educating them, enlightening them as to different things as it relates to the business and our services. And they start to then see us as thought leaders, as you just described, as an expert. And then all of a sudden that moment might arise where they need help. And then they're going to see us as being that solution because we've been there all along. And then the other thing that you were talking about is being proactive. And I like that. That's so important to be able to say, where are my clients, my potential clients congregating? Where do they go? Where can I go and meet them? Where can I find those people that interact with them that they can maybe refer me to these individuals? All of a sudden, I'm actively going out and trying to basically build a pipeline of individuals that I can be working with over time. So I'm liking this discussion. This is really, really good. So with the rise of remote work and virtual interactions, that's kind of hard to go to some of these live events. A lot of it's happening online. How should a firm adapt to actually develop a strategy to engage with people virtually?
I'm as I'm listening to you ask this question, I'm thinking about a couple of clients that I've worked with over the last few years, especially at the height of everything being remote and virtual, where I can't tell you how many times someone said to me, I'm just waiting for things to get back to normal so I can go out and go to the coffee, the lunch, the event, the whatever. And then it's a little bit of a rude awakening where it's like, well, those are all great things, but it's going to be a while, and it may never look the same. And this is where we have to take back control of our business development process and accept and embrace the fact that we can build relationships through remote means. And really at the height of being virtual, almost all of the business, if not all of the business that I closed, was in this type of arena that we're talking about here. It's a video, it's being in a Teams room or what have you. But is the adaptation is going to continue. There's still a little bit of a lag with people coming back into the office. There's no shortage of articles out there talking about how it's really challenging, for people coming back into the office. People enjoy working at home. They want to be remote. And so as a business developer, when you're out looking to build relationships, that can prove to be a bit challenging. And there's an adaptability that we need to have. So remote work, virtual presence is going to be here to stay. And so if we kind of go back to when we talked about structures and skills, having the right technology structures to support remote business development are really critical, but also having the specific skills, things like video presence, virtual presence, being able to do really smart, focused client planning so that you know what conversations you need to be having. Now that's regardless of whether you're in person or virtual, but really laser focused effort in terms of knowing which clients and prospects are the right fit for you, and being willing to leverage remote means when you need to get the first conversation, to move an opportunity along. So it's a real adaptation for a lot of firms and individuals that this is not their comfort zone.
Oh yeah, I would add to that the fact that I think during the pandemic era, a lot of people started to utilize this virtual remote work kind of environment reluctantly. They beforehand may not have embraced it, and all of a sudden, after a year or two of that period of time, they're now becoming more comfortable with it. But the aha moment for a lot of the people I interact with was the fact that they did get clients that are remote, that are out of state, that are long distance, that they've never met in person, and now they're working with people that, in theory, they may never have met and maybe have no inclinations to meet unless they want to take a business trip and write it off, I guess. But the point is all of a sudden they're in a situation where they've got clients that prior to the pandemic, they never realized they could have had. And so there's a lot of businesses that I'm working with today that now have virtual clientele that they're not only retaining, but they're also getting new ones. And so it's a new viable source. But the one thing I wanted to just kind of add to this is it's important to develop the skills that you're able to comfortably communicate in a virtual world. Are you able to, whether it's Zoom or Teams or whatever, are you able to actually hold a conversation and engage with somebody remotely when they're no longer sitting across from you with the idea of utilizing full body language and so forth? Are you able to retain interest? Are you able to be engaging? And those are skills that some people haven't really appreciated, but now they have to develop and hone as part of that sales training and experience that you're providing to that client as you're interacting with them and they're considering your services. Would you add anything more to that?
Yeah, on the skill side of things, spot on. And when you take a look at putting the skill pieces into your organization, and you're analyzing what you want to pursue, that virtual piece, that remote sales skill type of curriculum can become really important. And you want to take a look at, just from an analysis perspective, what skills do we have in our organization, and where do we have some strengths, and where do we potentially have some gaps? So I actually will work with clients on that analysis so they can see the macro picture of what business development skills their organization actually has. And it's really enlightening to see where we have strengths, where we have opportunities for improvement. And as a leader in a firm, bookkeeping or public accounting, you're making decisions about where to invest. Using data as part of your decision-making process can be really critical, and just help you make the right decisions about where to make those investments.
This is wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm enjoying this. So one of the things that I'd like to get your input on is we're both obviously working with accounting professionals as they're considering ways to grow their businesses. What are some of the things you've noticed that causes an accountant to be reluctant or hesitant to embrace the idea of becoming a salesperson and really taking on that role of client acquisition, finding new business, growing the business? What are some of the things that you've noticed has caused them to be a little slow or reluctant to embrace that role?
Yeah, if I were to put that maybe into a couple of categories, probably first and foremost, it is something that for many of those individuals, it's not something that they came into the profession necessarily expecting to have to do. They come into the profession with a specific expertise, a specific experience that often is related to client delivery. I am a tax specialist. I am an audit specialist. I am a whatever. These are the things that I do. Rarely do they come into the profession or into a firm with an expectation of having to do business development. So there's that hurdle to overcome. Um, Oftentimes, when I'm working with firms on business development, it's finding the right individuals at the right kind of sweet spot in their career.
Ah,
Typically, they are maybe they're 5 to 7 years into their career. They have some client experience. They've been able to use their technical experience. They've interfaced with clients, and oftentimes it's at that pivotal moment in their career where a firm can decide to make an investment in that individual to help them build business development skills and bring them along into the organization. And typically, there's a phrase I hear often, which is somebody who is a new partner, or maybe they've been a partner for a while. I wish I would have learned business development younger in my career. But the other side of that equation is they have to be at the right spot in their career. If they are too young in their career, they may just not be at the place where they can appreciate it. So I work a lot with clients trying to find that sweet spot of the right individuals to put into a business development program. So that's another maybe hurdle or just structural piece to consider. So I'll offer up those as starting places to dig into a little further.
well, the first thing that I'm going to point out is you've been very kind to be able to title it business development. I know that's a
Right,
trade. It's a trade secret to basically say, look, we're coming in to help you grow the company. And so
right.
you kind of steer away from those intimidating words of sales. And I respect that because initially you don't want to put off the individual to think that they're going to be doing something uncomfortable. So business development obviously is a little bit more embracing. And in the larger firms, it's typically how it's categorized. But the thing that I would add to this is the fact that in addition to finding that sweet spot of when in their careers this is going to make sense, and that 5 to 7 area does make a lot of sense, is I would add to it this one little question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how comfortable are you explaining the accounting, bookkeeping, tax services that you or your firm offers? And then on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel describing, explaining, and asking someone to pay for those services? And if
Mm.
if they don't have the same confidence in explaining the services that they perform, the ability to do the bookkeeping, accounting, and tax, that skill, in the sales side, then they need to likewise embrace trainings to find kind of the tactics, the skills, the confidence to go out and do it. And the way I've always taught it, I've taught it this way for years, is it really comes down to two things: confidence and competence. The confidence to be able to look the business owner in the eye and say that you can take care of their accounting needs as they're describing them. And then the competence is the ability to go back and actually perform those. And so the competence is definitely the skill of the accounting. It's the services you're providing and doing that efficiently and profitably. But the confidence really is the ability to articulate and explain yourself well, to listen, to ask closing questions. It's that ability to actually get the deal. And so those two things married together make for a very happy and profitable firm and individual. So that's how I kind of define it. What would you add to that?
Yeah, one thing that I would add to that part of the conversation is many times our natural inclination is to talk about who we are and what we do, and that could be an easier conversation that we will lean on. When I'm working with organizations, I will take those same concepts that you just described and extend them a little bit to look at what's the value to that business owner in us working together, and what outcomes or results would that business owner like to experience that we can help them create that experience. So I will sometimes I will try to get them to flip the equation a little bit. So instead of coming in with from an us focus, an individual focus, a firm focus, let's take a look at the business owner and let's make sure that we have really good clarity about where they want to take their business in the next 1 or 3 or 5 years. What challenges they're facing around that? What would be valuable for them to solve for? Whether or not we do that, we provide that solution is another conversation. But what are you looking at from a business standpoint that I can then take and process and say, all right, I'm hearing you share these things. Here's where what we do could really align to what you're looking to accomplish. And let's figure out how to make that work. That, in a nutshell, is a lot of business development. I've identified something that's important to you that has value, a result that you want to accomplish, and my firm can help you do that. And that's where I try to get them to think a little bit differently, to flip the equation around so that we put the focus onto the business owner.
I love it, because when we address that, and I think this is very similar, you're going to find this in any sales training typically. It's the fact that we need to become, instead of better talkers, better explainers, using better words, we need to be better at asking questions and listening. And so as a good salesperson takes the time to literally ask great questions and listen, they're going to hear the potential customer kind of share what their pains are, what their interests are, what the opportunities are. And if you listen well enough, you'll be able to see the needs and address them as to how you can best kind of meet them and provide those services. So well said on all this. I'm going to switch gears on us here, Amy. I'd like to ask a quick question regarding you being a business owner, speaking to accounting professionals. What would you like to tell us as you run your business? How important is accounting? How is accounting helpful to you as you're running your company? If you could speak to the accounting profession, what would you say you like, and what would you say you need from us?
That's a great question. When we have good timing because I was just on the phone with my bookkeeper not too long before we jumped onto this conversation. So it's a good, fresh question. So as I look at my business and how I've been able to grow it, transition it, evolve it over the years, having a really sharp CPA accounting firm, having a really sharp business oriented bookkeeper, the combination of those two individuals or firms has really been meaningful to me because they help me see patterns in my business that maybe I would not uncover myself. They help me through analyzing things like my P&L, my balance sheet, understanding where I might consider making investments because there are tax advantages. All of those things combined together. The one thing that this may or may not be unique in my situation, but my accounting firm and my bookkeeping firm, they know each other and they share clients in common. And the fact that they know each other and interact with each other, I feel makes for a better relationship. And it's like we're all kind of in a partnership together. So I really like the fact that they know each other and work together. So that might be to the second part of your question. What might be useful is, do you share clients in common? If you're a bookkeeping firm or public accounting firm, do you share clients in common? And can you strengthen your bonds with your clients by bringing each other into the equation?
Amen. No, I'm loving this, because one of the things that you're describing with that collaboration is the fact that there's different perspectives going on. You're running your business with a certain insight and perspective goal, but your bookkeeper is going to be providing something different than your tax preparer. They each have different objectives. And as you're looking at those different things, you have now the insights to make the right decision. You're getting information to make more informed decisions. And as a business owner, I'm glad to hear you're appreciative of that interaction. So this is wonderful.
Well, and you just made me think of one other thing, which is, you think about just the state of the market right now, interest rates, inflation, things like that. So, and interest rates in many ways can be seen as something that is negative. But if we look at the other side of the coin, it was my bookkeeper that pointed out to me, hey, you have some, excess cash in the business. Have you considered putting it into a couple CDs for 6 months or a year, because the interest rates are so good right now? So that was a combination of my bookkeeper and my financial planner that made those comments. And honestly, I was busy running the business, and quite frankly, missed that completely. And had they not pointed it out to me, I've been able to get some great interest rate advantages because of those couple of simple things that were pointed out to me.
That is perfect. I love this because you've now tied in the financial planner. And that's beautiful because as you're working and making money, what are you doing with that money? And so that collaboration of the bookkeeper with the financial planner and taking advantage of the CDs and the interest rate, excellent example of this. This is beautiful and I appreciate it. So here's what I'm going to do, Amy. Amy, I'm going to wrap this up with a little summary of everything that we've been discussing. But for my listeners, all of you, Amy's offered something here that you're going to find in the episode description that I'd love you to take advantage of. She happens to have a book that you can go online here in the episode description and get a copy of it. It's called The Essential Strategies for Sales Growth in Today's Markets. It's basically a book that you'll want to get where she talks about things that are applicable to your business, basically things that you can use to apply in everyday situations as it relates to sales. So definitely go to the episode description and take advantage of that opportunity. In addition to that, you'll find some information regarding some other related things that we brought up today. The first of which is going to be cut to the chase. It's some additional information regarding sales and how that might be applicable to your situations, as well as working with a CRM. Lots of times people are not familiar with that term and what that technology is and how you can leverage it as you're nurturing your clients. And so there happens to be a webinar there that I'd like you to check out that actually addresses CRMs, how you can automate your sales process and literally leverage your time and energy to get the clients you deserve. It's taking your online presence and making that be a productive way to get virtual clients. So check out these additional free resources and information in the episode description. And you can do so by going online and seeing all that information. In addition to all of this, the summary I'd like to bring is Amy's perspective is beautiful. Obviously, as a business owner, she's got some insights that is great. She specializes working with accounting firms, and so her insights are very appropriate for what we're discussing today. And I really thought at the beginning, where we started with that description between marketing and sales and what each of those roles are, is very important to have, as she describes it, that leadership, knowing and understanding what each of those roles are and taking a proactive approach in going out there and working in the marketplace to get the clients that you need is wonderful. So developing that sales strategy, developing that sales process, identifying those key individuals, all of this was wonderful and well worth the time. The other thing that I also wanted to point out is I thought our conversation about the virtual work, interacting with people virtually, is an excellent thing that we all need to consider as we're running our businesses today. It's great that we can get back and do those physical interactions where we go to meetings, networking groups, conferences. Those are beautiful ways to interact with our potential customers as well as our clients. But at the same time, we need to develop these skills as we should when it comes to remote work and virtual interactions, the proverbial Zoom meetings and team meetings and so forth. So if we can actually kind of focus on those things, that's very, very important. So that's where I'd like to just kind of highlight a few things. Is there a final thought, Amy, that you would like to actually bring to the conversation?
Yes, one last thing that I would love to add to the conversation. For all of you listening, you are leaders in your firm, whether you own the firm or maybe you are part of the firm in some other way. You are a leader within the firm. And I would highly encourage you to take a look at your growth goals for the next year, whenever your year happens to start. And as part of your growth goals and your strategic plan, ask yourself if you have a business development strategy to go along with your overall growth strategy. And then from there, ask yourself, do I have the business development structures and skills within my firm? So those are some strategic things for you to ponder as the owner or a leader in your firm. And if the answer to any of those is no, that's where you want to begin and start to look at how you can incorporate that into your growth plan for the next 12 to 24 months.
Excellent. Amy, this is beautiful, and I appreciate you taking the time to share all these insights with us. For my listeners, I want to encourage you, if you've not already subscribed to this podcast, to do so. Subscribe, turn on the notifications. Each and every week, we're bringing to the show various guests, experts that you want to hear from. You also want to go back and listen to the past episodes, binge listen to some of the different things that we have done in the past to actually help you work on your business with topics ranging from marketing, selling, pricing, onboarding, tech stacks, training your staff, mental health, and a variety of other things. So check that out. You also want to check out information regarding GrowCon. It's our annual event. It's a live conference for accounting professionals, individuals that own accounting, bookkeeping, tax businesses. As owners, you want to come to this event and not miss it because we put on the stage the experts for you to hear from and basically see what it is you should be doing to work on your business. It's there. You're also going to hear from your peers, interact with them, get to know them, and with those new connections, actually find ways to offer additional services and collaborate for your clients. The last thing is you get to meet us here at Universal, the Universal team, those individuals that are committed to helping you be in business for yourself, but not by yourself with Universal. So all these things I do want to encourage you to take advantage of. Also, with reference to free resources, you can go to universalaccounting.com and there find information regarding the podcast, but also various ebooks, webinars, and other assets that you can leverage as you're working on your business so as to work on your company, get the best performing services available for your clients, and lastly, have the confidence to provide them. In addition to all of this, if you would like to apply these principles in your business, you would like to reach out to us here at Universal, you can call us at 801-265-3777 or visit us at universalaccountingschool.com. All that being said, always remember this: if it's about accounting, it is Universal. Take care, have a great day, and be safe out there.